October brings two things: the peak of fall color in the Northeast and Halloween. Autumn is the haunting season. We're going to take advantage of a little downtime while we're here to look at some haunted locations around the Altoona, Pennsylvania area. No, we're not going ghost hunting. For some reason, apparently ghosts are only active at night. We're going to take a daylight view of the locations and fill you in on the stories. The actual ghost hunt? Well, that's up to you. Stick around. One of the better-known stories is the haunted wedding dress that used to be on display here in Baker Mansion. The mansion was built as the home of Elias Baker, an area ironmaster. It is now a museum for the Blair County Historical Society and is open for tours. As with any good ghost story, there were multiple variations of a love-lost tragedy behind the haunting. One is that the dress belonged to Anna Baker, who was engaged to a laborer employed by her father. Elias refused to let his daughter marry a commoner, and Anna sunk into depression. Rarely leaving her room, she was often seen by staff dancing to the sound of her music box. The facts are, though, that the dress actually belonged to Elizabeth Bell of the Bell family. Edward Bell was another area ironmaster, and the town of Bellwood, about 7 miles north of here, is named for him. Elizabeth Bell was actually married years before Anna was even born. The relic was just a period dress that was on display in the Historical Society's museum. There are reports of other activity by both staff and visitors. One of Elias's sons was killed in a steamboat accident in New York, and his body was sent home for burial. It was winter and the ground was too frozen, so his body was kept in the ice room in the cellar until spring. Reports of apparitions and strange sounds and screams from the ice cellar have been reported. There's also a female figure in white reported in and near Anna's room, and multiple sightings of a woman in black at various locations in the mansion. Perhaps the spirit of Hetty Baker herself. We'll leave it up to you to find out if any of them are true. The Railroad Museum is another well-known haunt. The building had been the Master Mechanics building of the Pennsylvania Railroad Altoona shops, and apparently at one time was the location of the Railroad Police Headquarters and the infirmary. The Atlantic Paranormal Society investigated the building in the first season of the television show Ghost Hunters. There have been apparitions here seen not only by visitors but by staff, including the one who went along on an elevator ride. They've also been seen in several other locations among the displays. The sound of music and voices coming from the empty bar area and many other strange occurrences have been documented. One of the most often seen spirits is a friendly, almost cantankerous ghost named Frank. The apparition has been identified in a photo of a shop crew in the museum collection. Frank is often seen on and around the engine displayed inside the museum. There have also been sightings of Frank following people across the 12th Street footbridge to downtown, and when spotted, jumping over the side onto the roof of a passing freight and disappearing. The museum has embraced the stories of their ghostly denizens and offer haunted tours Saturday nights in October. Stop in. You may get to meet Frank or some of his friends. Another site in Altoona investigated on Ghost Hunters is the Mishler Theater. Built by Isaac Mishler in 1907, the theater took advantage of Altoona's location on the PRR main line and played host to many big-name performers on the vaudeville circuit such as Al Jolson, John Wayne, W.C. Fields, and more. The comedian George Burns even wrote a book about his later life titled Living It Up or They Still Love Me in Altoona. The sightings here include the man in funny hats, who was seen by the daughter of a production staff member when she was in the theater during rehearsals, a lady wandering backstage in 1930s dress, and of course, as any good ghost story would have, Isaac Mishler himself, still working in the theater he loved. More common probably than the sightings of apparitions is the smell of Isaac's cigar smoke wafting through the building. The theater, now owned by the Blair County Arts Foundation, doesn't offer tours per se, but is still used as a theater for Altoona community theater productions, concerts, and seasonal entertainment like the annual Nutcracker Ballet in December. While you may not be able to prowl backstage looking for the man in funny hats, you can still attend a performance in this grand theater and maybe even catch a whiff of Isaac's cigar as he enjoys the show beside you. When you're in the mountains, you can bet not far away is a highway tragedy ghost story. The Altoona area is no exception. We're currently on Wapsie Road ascending the mountain. The legend here of the Lady in White has all the earmarks of the classic ghost story, but with multiple variations. The basic premise is that a lady in white, often with a candle or lantern, is seen alongside the mountain road. She is searching, according to some of the legends, for her baby who was thrown from her carriage while rounding the curve known as Devil's Elbow, never to be found. Or perhaps for her new husband who died in an accident on the curve as they descended the mountain after their honeymoon at the Wapsanonoc Resort, which was located here at the top of the mountain. The story has also been retold as a terrible automobile accident rather than carriage, where the woman died and is looking for the man who was driving to exact her revenge for her untimely demise. Perhaps this iteration of the story is based on a true story of a tragic accident in the 1930s. In any case, if you offer the lady a ride, she will sit in the back silently smiling and disappear as you near the bottom of the grade. The same story is often heard located on the Buckhorn Mountain Road, another road less than 2 miles from Wapsie that ascends the same ridge. The Buckhorn is actually State Route 36 and is a much wider, better maintained road than Wapsie, but still has its share of dangerous curves and history of tragic accidents. Whether it's the Lady in White on Wapsie or the White Lady of the Buckhorn, our best advice, if you travel these roads at night, don't pick up any hitchhikers. Here at the Horseshoe Curve, we find a haunted tunnel. The legend here is focused on a young Irish lass who waits at the tunnel entrance on the Altoona side for her husband to return from his shift at work. Here the legend splits in plot. In some, she's murdered as she waits and still haunts the tunnel, looking for her love. In the other, she still waits for her husband, who is the one murdered and has yet to come home. In either case, on a dark, rainy night, perhaps when the moon is full, if you pull into the middle of the tunnel and stop, then flash your lights 3 times, or maybe honk your horn 3 times, or try both just to be sure, you will hear the sounds of children laughing, or hear her anguished screams, or maybe hear scratching and noises on the outside of your car. If you pull to the wide spot on the side of the road after exiting the tunnel, you may even find a handprint on your car's window, as reported by some who've experienced this spirit. Well, thanks for coming along today. I hope you enjoyed the stories and these fantastic fall colors we've seen along the roads. You'll find links to the locations and some of the stories in the description. Perhaps they inspired you to get out and check out some of these locations when you're in or near Altoona. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our travels around the Mid-Atlantic. I didn't tell you about the ghost that haunts those who don't subscribe. We hope everyone has a safe and fun Halloween. Till next time, as always, have a great week.